Hello, friends. Have you ever been tricked by your thoughts? Imagine this: you're on a train, and sitting next to you is a father of three young children who are getting up, running around the train, screaming, fighting, and being a general nuisance to everybody on the train. But the father seems oblivious. He rarely even looks up. What would your initial thoughts be? Maybe he's a bad father. He's irresponsible. Maybe he doesn't care about his kids. And what emotions would you experience? Anger, embarrassment, anxiety? Now imagine you confront the father, and he looks up slowly and appears to just be out of it. And after noticing his children's behavior, embarrassed. He calmly, in a low voice, tells you he's very sorry and that he and his children are on the way home from the hospital, where their mother just died. Would your assumptions and feelings change? Well, if you're a caring human being, the answer is likely yes. How would your thoughts change? How would your feelings about the father change? Maybe you would experience empathy. Maybe you'd even offer to help. This sequence happens every day, moment by moment, in your brain. Your brain is constantly evaluating your surroundings, making split judgments based on your values and prior experiences, and reacting to those experiences by sending signals to the part of your nervous system that's responsible for reacting to your surroundings. This is where emotions or feelings come from. It's what causes us to react to our environment to keep us safe. But there's a dark side to this incredible system. Sometimes the brain gets it wrong, and we react on false interpretations or judgments, either because the brain makes incomplete or incorrect judgments, which it often does. Remember, the brain is comparing to past experiences and what those past experiences meant at that time. And sometimes the meanings of those experiences were not rational or correct to begin with, or in the now, they no longer apply to your similar situations that your brain is judging. And when this happens, the resulting thoughts that speed through your brain may be incorrect or distorted. They may no longer accurately reflect the situation or reality. These are called cognitive distortions. And that is what we're going to talk about today. My name is Dr. Chris Akins, and I am a clinical psychologist. And today, I'm going to review the most common types of cognitive distortions that most of us experience, and also how these distortions may shape your views of reality, and how propagandists may take advantage of cognitive distortions to influence your worldview and your political views. So, what is a cognitive distortion? Cognitive distortions are irrational or biased ways of thinking that can negatively influence a person's perception of reality. And these distorted thought patterns often reinforce negative thinking and emotions, contributing to various psychological issues like anxiety, depression, and stress. Here are some common types of cognitive distortions: all or nothing thinking. This is when we view situations in black and white terms, binary terms, without recognizing any middle ground. For example, believing that a minor mistake makes you a total failure. There's also overgeneralization, or making broad interpretations from a single event or on a single data point. For instance, after one bad experience, assuming that everything will always go wrong. There's mental filtering, or focusing solely on the negative aspects of a situation while ignoring any positive aspects. We often disqualify the positive. We reject positive experiences by insisting they just don't count or they're a fluke. For example, dismissing compliments by thinking people are just being nice, they don't mean it. We jump to conclusions. We make negative assumptions without solid evidence. This includes things like assuming you know what others are thinking. We engage in fortune telling or predicting how things will turn out without any real evidence. There's also magnification and minimization, so exaggerating the importance of problems or minimizing the significance of positive events. There's also emotional reasoning, believing that feelings accurately reflect reality. For example, thinking, I feel scared, so I must be in danger. Should statements are very common, imposing strict rules on yourself and others, leading to guilt or frustration when these expectations aren't met. We often label or mislabel things, or assign labels to yourself or others based on mistakes or perceived shortcomings. Excuse me. We take things personally, so we take responsibility for events outside of our control, or we believe that others' actions are directed at us personally. And so, how does this work? Well, cognitive distortions function by skewing our perception of reality. These distorted thought patterns often operate automatically, reinforcing negative beliefs and emotions. They become a part of a person's cognitive framework or way their brain works, shaping how they interpret events and interact with the world. This can lead to a cycle where negative thoughts lead to negative emotions and behaviors, which in turn reinforce the negative thoughts. How do propagandists exploit cognitive distortions to manipulate public perceptions and opinions? Well, they create polarization by facilitating all or nothing thinking. They present issues in black and white terms to polarize opinions. They frame topics as all good or all bad, forcing people to choose sides without considering the nuances. They use magnification to make up threats or magnify real threats or dangers to create fear and urgency. For example, they may exaggerate the dangers of immigration or the consequences of certain policies to sway public opinion. Propagandists also use disqualifying the positives to discredit opponents. Positive actions or achievements of opponents are dismissed or downplayed. Propagandists highlight only the negative aspects to undermine credibility of their opponents. Propagandists also appeal to emotion to enhance emotional reasoning. Propaganda often targets emotions rather than facts, and by appealing to fear, anger, or pride, propagandists can manipulate people's beliefs and actions based on how they feel rather than logical analysis. They promote stereotyping using labeling and mislabeling. Propagandists assign negative labels to groups or individuals to make it easier to justify discrimination or aggressive policies. For instance, labeling a group as criminals or terrorists simplifies complex social issues into digestible, albeit false, narratives. And propagandists create false consensus by using overgeneralization and jumping to conclusions. Propagandists may claim that everyone believes a certain idea, leading people to overgeneralize and jump to conclusions about the popularity or validity of that belief. Propagandists create unrealistic expectations using should statements. By promoting should statements, propagandists set unrealistic expectations for behavior or policy outcomes. And when these expectations aren't met, it creates discontent and unrest. Another strategy of propagandists is blaming and scapegoating. Propagandists often personalize societal problems by blaming specific groups of individuals, creating scapegoats to divert attention from more complex systemic issues. So, cognitive distortions play a significant role in shaping how we perceive and interact with the world. By understanding these distortions, we can better recognize when our thinking is rational or biased. Propagandists aware of these cognitive vulnerabilities manipulate them to influence public opinion and behavior. By fostering awareness of cognitive distortions and critical thinking skills, we can become more resilient to propaganda and make more informed decisions. So I hope this has been helpful or at least interesting. I think it's pretty timely to post something like this so that people can really be aware of all of the propaganda, some of it foreign, that's being flooded into our social media, our news, our public statements, to recognize that we need to take a step back from what we hear and what we're told, not just accept that it's true, and go to credible sources. And I don't mean your favorite news network. I mean credible in the sense that look at the raw data, look at expert analysis by people who are credentialed and qualified to provide that analysis. Always take a step back and ask yourself, is this true? And try to shoot holes in what you're hearing. Literally, take the other side. Put yourself in the other side's position and take that perspective to try to see, is what I am believing right now, what I'm being told, is it true, or am I being manipulated? Because one thing is certain, run-ups to election years, we are all being manipulated by propagandists. And a lot of times we choose party over facts. A lot of times it's just easier for us to accept what we're being told because we have strong affiliations with a network, a person, or a group. We need to apply critical thinking skills because our votes matter. And we want the type of nation that is going to provide freedom and justice to everybody, every citizen. So I'll be posting more on this topic and other topics of interest, and I hope you tune in. And I hope, again, you got something out of this. It's causing you to think a little bit more, and it's useful for you. Have a great evening.